In this series of videos we will be looking at projects which bridge the gap between crafting and larger scale creations. Today we will be looking at the different fixing techniques. Everything I say has been written and reviewed by the team at Jesmonite. They have chosen to use me, an AI bot, as I can aid translation, making these videos widely available to our audiences around the world, and for ease of editing. Here we are going to make a table and look at the different methods to attach the legs. When fixing to Jesmonite, it should be noted that Jesmonite products are designed as casting products, and as such, the method of fixing should be considered in the design, from the beginning of the process. Post-cast fixing can be very problematic. Here we will use the process of fixing legs to a table top, as an example of different possible methods. Mix the Jesmonite AC730 in the usual way. We have covered good mixing and casting techniques previously. Pour into the mold, and then tap, shake, or vibrate, to release air bubbles. Place the threaded plate fixings in the correct position, to match up with the holes in the legs. Take your time, as they cannot be moved once the Jesmonite is fully cured. Once in their intended position, gently wiggle them into the Jesmonite to the required depth. If necessary, use a depth gauge to ensure the correct position. Then smooth around the thread so the washer is fully submerged into the Jesmonite. Use a small roller, trowel, palette knife or float, for best results. Best practice is to do one final check, to ensure the threads are in the correct position, before leaving to fully cure. Once cured, attach the legs using washers and nuts, being careful not to over-tighten, as this can pull the threads out of the Jesmonite and damage the final piece. Here we see the final table in place. There are several other methods for fixing to Jesmonite post-curing. However, incorporating the fixings in the casting process is best practice. The first method of post-cure fixing is to create a large surface area and then use a two-part epoxy resin to adhere to the Jesmonite. In this example, we have used a facing plate to fix the legs together and then an adhesive to adhere it to the underside of the table top. This method would not be recommended if it needed to bear the weight of the final piece. The second method is to screw into the Jesmonite. Like the plate and adhesive method, this would not be recommended for weight bearing. Drill a pilot hole slightly smaller than the screw thread. Use either a tile bit or wood bit, letting the drill do its work. Please note that the bits will blunten quickly. Then screw in the screws on a low torque setting. There are many different fixing options available to use with Jesmonite. Here are some examples of differing fixings, depending on the size of the project, that are readily available. Remember, it is always best practice to incorporate your fixing method in your design, as opposed to fixing post-curing.